Hello, babies.
10-7 on the season, boys. Losers of 4 of their last 5. 3 of the last 4, including the playoff game. In their last 5 games, maybe he forgot how to do the show now that we only do it once a week. But when I'm talking, shut the fuck up,
Bill.
I forgot how this thing shares me now.
Handbook, Bill.
Yeah. It's
fucking wiping his ass.
Don't make us spill the tea on you.
In the last 5 games of the regular season,
What does that mean?
Or I'm sorry, the regular season and the playoff game, the Patriots defense, this is the whatever the nerd analytics, the DVOA is all over the place now. If Ray, if you could read, this is what would be in the articles. Their DVOA, the analytics, they were 32nd in defensive rating the last 5 games of the season, including that Buffalo Bills game. 32nd. How many teams are in the NFL?
Ooh, me. 32.
Ray?
Yes.
Last in the league in the last 5 weeks of the season. They were second in the first 13 weeks. They finished, now this is the macro view, kind of the more classic stats, if you would. They finished second in yards allowed, second in points allowed, third in turnovers, 8th in turnover differential. Obviously, I'm starting defense here. Just your overall take of the defense this year. How much of it was smoke and mirrors? How much of it was coaching down the stretch? What the fuck happened? Are there any bright spots? Just give me your overall view of the defense this year, not just the last 5 weeks, but what made them good the first in those 13 weeks and what happened. Ray, we'll start with you. Or Bill.
Thank you.
Fine. Yep,
no. You said Ray. Ray. Matthew Judon in the first 13 weeks was a man possessed, all pro looking, and then comes the injury that I'm thinking happened. I think there was an injury that occurred, and that's what slowed him down because he was a shell of himself the last 5 games of the season. He was looking like defensive player of the year. We were talking about it every week. He was almost leading the league in sacks. He was, I believe, 3rd at one point.
If I may, 13 sacks in 13 weeks. 13 sacks in 12 weeks, 0 in the final 5. Go ahead.
Yeah. But I believe he got hurt. I think something happened. Nothing's come out yet, but I think that was a turning point. The COVID started hitting it. You had Jalen Mills go out. You had some more secondary linebackers getting. Judon had it. Hightower had it. You were losing it. So I think COVID was the other part of the second half of the season with the 5 games that, it took a toll on this whole team. So that's what happened with that defense. I think Judon getting hurt was the biggest factor of the whole thing.
No, I don't think he got hurt. And I'm going to tell you, I think it goes a lot back to coaching. And I think the disconnect on the defense, you have guys listening to, there's been a lot of talk with Mayo and Steve Belichick, who's the defensive coordinator, who's calling all the shots. You heard Bill kind of allude to it after, the first Buffalo game and kind of some good play calling at the end of the game. But there's a lot of guys still in that defense that's played with Gerard Mayo, McCourty, Hightower, these guys. And, you look at maybe Judon kind of bought into that. He's an older guy. He's 29 years old. He's been in the league for a while. Are you going to buy into a guy that's never played the position, who's never played at football? He's a lacrosse guy and Daddy's boy and Steve Belichick. Or are you going to play with the guy that used to run this defense 7 years ago and knows it like the back of his hand? Who are you going to gravitate more to? Judon, yeah, he's the kind of guy, but big pass rusher, 13 sacks, 13 games, but a little bit of the scouting report of him, he free rants a lot. He was getting behind the quarterback, over rushing up the field, not containing the edge. So it's like, those are huge problems. And you saw running backs run right by him. I don't think there was an injury. I just think one guy was telling him one thing, the other guy was telling him the other thing, and he didn't know. He played 22 snaps in that Buffalo game. That's a problem. And I don't think that's injury related. I just think that's play related. And it goes back to Matthew Slater even coming out. There's splinters in the locker room. There was something that came out after that bye. They had the worst week of practice, right? And then Matt called out everybody how bad it was, and then it's been going downhill since. I think it goes back to coaching. I don't think the strong leadership on the coaching side, and now the defense is taking a hit. Daddy's boys calling the shots, and I don't think people are liking it.
Yeah, I think it's too widespread to be one guy, but certainly on the field, the lack of pressure up front absolutely killed him. Absolutely fucking killed him. Whatever the cause was, I don't know. I'm not going to say it wasn't an injury. If it was an injury he did go down with COVID. It wasn't just that he did test positive for COVID. And we've seen
someone who's had COVID, and I'm not a fucking athlete. It took me about 3, I'm feeling normal now to that I'm not tired. That was the worst thing that came with it. I was I had a head cold, and then it was fatigue out my ass.
Let's just take a minute right now, right? Just a moment of silence for the Queen and his struggles.
Sure.
Thank you. I just
I think the breaking news was that Bill's not an athlete. I thought that's where you're going to go with on that one, because that took a lot for you to admit to that, Bill, that you're not an athlete.
I used to be.
Yeah.
Does muff diving count as being an athlete?
No, those dink toes will never make you an athlete.
You gotta get certified. Yeah. You gotta watch.
Mister, I couldn't get
cones.
into the Navy. Shut up, bitch.
Look, whether it was COVID, an injury, or whatever, obviously that was the key turning point on the field. But you also had Jonathan Jones get injured. You traded Stephon Gilmore. Your secondary was your weakest link down the stretch. And when it goes back to that bye week and what happened, I've heard from multiple, just listening to the broadcasts around, multiple people say their confidence was fake and really high. And when the Colts came out and punched you in the mouth in that first quarter, they found out real quick that they were not the team that they thought they were, and they never rebounded. And that does go back to coaching and leadership and everything else. Because if you can't get your team to come back, to earth and build them back up again, then you're not a great coach.
Go look at listen to Jordan Poyer's pregame speech for Buffalo this weekend. And then he alludes right to that. These guys are talking all that shit. We'll send their fucking night tonight, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was all their cocky motherfuckers talking, and it was all fake. It was all fake. Like, I alluded to by the Miami game, and I said, like, actually Saturday night when I was in a drunken rage on Saturday, pissed off of the game, it's like, this is what we kind of saw more before that winning streak. Did the schedule align, and did the teams that they play at that time, I mean, that was it. Like, they played their best games against a shitty schedule, and was it like they made strides this year? Yes, right. But like, you went from the first seed, I think we all didn't agree they were the first seed. It was nice they were getting there, but like, they were closer to being the sixth seed than they were to where they ended up as the first seed. Does that make sense? Like, they had that 7-game winning streak where they played perfect. They got ahead of teams. They took advantage of a lot of turnovers. And when you beat Buffalo in weird circumstances, right? And that was it. You came out, you got ran over by Indy, and then Buffalo, again, I've alluded to it for weeks now. After that game, they came out and talked disrespect, and they brought it back up for game number 3, right? It's been talked about since that game. They wouldn't even mention the Patriots by name. It was all this shit, and it was a bad matchup. This is the exact reason I wanted Cincinnati. And Ray laughed at me. I wanted Cincinnati from the start. I don't care. It doesn't. Nope. I don't. I disagree. I think it's a better matchup. They had no answer to contain Josh Allen. None.
Bill was reading just hot fire Saturday night during this game. Do you mind if I read a couple text messages from Saturday night in the midst of the blowout from the Bills game?
How bad was it? I didn't go back and read.
Well, first this is where it starts. Bentley out. Yeah, cool, Bill. They just told me on TV. That was from Ray. Bill likes to send us updates on things that we're all watching together or listening at the same fucking time.
Well, you guys stream.
He's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
Just announce it on TV. Juwan Bentley out. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. And then he goes on to say, this is the real Patriots. Their 7-game win streak was all against shit teams. What a failure of season this is. And then I said,
I still feel that.
I said, too strong. He goes on to say, give me Derek Carr over Mac Jones.
Oh, I forgot about that. I
said something that made sense. And then then Ray said, what are your biggest needs you'd have to address this season? Bill's immediate response, Belichick trying to get himself fired to go coach the Giants. And then I sent a picture of Kendrick Bourne with the dildo on the TV, and he went, LOL, dude, didn't even see that. So you can tell the emotions were up and down for Bill that night. And I don't know what this is. I was just scrolling and I saw something that said, Ray, you're confusing me. And you said, I'm sorry, I'm fat. So that's how these text messages go. I don't remember where we were. The defense, look, there's enough talent there. They're bringing enough talent back. Obviously, they have to address the secondary and the linebacking core. We'll get to that in a little bit. But before that, let's just take a quick look back at the offense and take a look at what they had to say this season. They were 6th overall in points, 27 a game.
Overrated.
A little deceiving because you had 250
and you put up 45 against the Browns.
But that's an okay one. But either way, 6th is pretty good. There were a top 10 offense in this league. So you were 15th in yards at 353 game, 14th in passing yards, 227, 8th in rushing yards at 126. and you had the 9th least turnovers, right? That's the 16th most turnovers, with 23 and a +7 differential.
Honestly, Rich, before you go, you know that just dilute its defense taking that winning streak is what brought all these numbers up and inflated this because your defense was leading the league in takeaways, short fields. You know what I mean? How many drives did they start inside the 20? And it was quick 1, 2, 3 play drives. Look at that yardage, right? When they're that down in yardage, but you're number 6 in points, that means your defense is setting you up in short field position. Overrated.